Hey, Hill Base. Welcome back.
Hello, hello. Welcome to Healing Uncut.
The podcast where we talk about the messy side of healing.
Yes, yes, yes. This is episode number 5. Oh,
Mhm.
it is episode 5.
Look at us.
We're just knocking them out.
I know. I'm like, every time I'm feeling more comfortable, it's getting easier. I'm excited to do it. So,
Right. Like I was thinking about that today. I'm so proud of us for actually like showing up and
Mhm.
like making it a thing, like really coming together, forming a plan and actually like executing. I was like, okay, like go us. Like we really doing it.
Doing it.
Like yes, that made me happy.
That's what's How are you feeling today? Let's check
Um,
in. Let's
I
check.
know. I think what I'm feeling today, like I feel excited. I mean, really, like I said, I just was just thinking about, the fact that this is really a thing. Like we're actually keeping up with it. So it's like, okay, like we really seriously committed. So that really made me like feel good. That we like been keeping up and been actually doing it. So I don't know, I just kind of feel motivated just to keep it going. That's pretty much where I'm at today, like right now.
Right now. Okay.
Yeah, so I feel real motivated. How about you?
I am feeling optimistic once again. And mixed in with the optimism, it is, I do feel like critical, I guess. So I was looking at the wheel and
Hmm.
um, I'm like, what is a word? And critical was under mad. And it's like, I'm not mad, but I am, trying to keep myself accountable. Um, so I am proud that we've been coming up, and I'm like, okay, we've been doing this, we've been committed, we're making progress. Like, you got to start doing this in other areas. And
Mm.
so I'm like optimistic of what's to come and just like, okay, just keep going, be accountable, keep showing up. Like, it's worth it. So I guess, kind of on teetering between those optimism and being critical of myself. Like, okay, keep going. Like, but you
Right.
always gotta give yourself grace. I know that. I know
Oh,
that.
yeah. I'm definitely living by that. Definitely gotta give yourself grace. Like you definitely been showing up online. I'm like, yes. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you so much. I'd be nervous for real,
Hmm.
especially like they're like, oh, you wanna with that whatever the algorithm is, however you say it. You got to keep posting to stay
Hmm.
current. I'm just like, oh, how do I make this real? Like, how do I know when to add the words, or is the music going to be right, or should it be no music? It's just, you get to overthinking, you would talk yourself right out of posting. So,
Right. Or just trying to be perfect. That's definitely my thing.
mm,
Just trying to be perfect. And it's hard to just put stuff out there. Like you said, you're trying to figure out first of all, what am I gonna say? And it's like, do I really want to say that? Like how transparent do I really want to be? You know what I mean? And then yes, trying to, stay in that algorithm and like, okay, what time am I supposed to post? Like what hashtag am I supposed to have? So yeah, it's a lot. It's definitely a learning process. I'm at the point now where personally I'm like, just stay consistent. Don't
uh,
worry about being perfect. Put it out there. And then it's like you might get caught up in like likes or like impressions, like, okay, how many people saw it? How many people liked it? And I'm like, I just have to keep telling myself, like, that part is not important. Like, I'm just supposed to put it out there and then God's gonna do the rest. And then whenever they come to me, to see the information, it's gonna be there. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the bigger goal. So it kind of helps, like to just to keep going, just to do it. I hope
Yes.
that helps.
It does. That's why I be texting you like, I don't know what to say. Or how should I do it? It's like, so I like that we could bounce ideas off each other and just be like, oh, you posting. Okay, you getting back in it. Like the
Yeah.
encouragement, everything. It's been great. Thank you. Thank you.
Girl, let's see, sis, it's good to have a support system, like good people to
Mhm.
kind of motivate you because you're not gonna feel it all the time, and that's a fact. So just seeing it, it's like, okay, they're doing it. I'm not gonna lie, like before I got to the point of really trying to be consistent and committing to being consistent, I used to just look at Ashley like, dang, okay, she doing it. She doing it every day. Like she just once by her, I'm like, all right, all right. I'm like, okay. So that's like that was definitely like motivating. So I'm like, just do it. And you'll get better with time. You know what I'm saying? Like
And that's a fact. It is. Practice does
it
get.
definitely makes perfect. And I be trying to tell my kids that, but it's also like I gotta remind myself, like the people that we see with all these nice pages and they got the whole aesthetic thing going on and they got the family thing and they matching and like the whole I'm like, okay, yeah, like that's them, this is me. It'll happen like in time. So it's like, all right, I'm gonna stay in my own lane and stay focused on myself. So that's that. It's a journey. That's my thing. I always say that.
Everything is a journey for real. You have
It
to
really
look at it
is.
because if you think like if you start looking at things and it's like, oh, it's like one and done, you're gonna get
Hmm.
discouraged. You're going to get discouraged and you're not going to give yourself the opportunity to grow in like whatever you're trying to do. So you have to look I truly believe that you have to look at it as if it is a journey. Absolutely.
Hmm. Like a never ending journey with ups and downs.
Life.
Right. Right. Exactly.
So last week we talked about trauma bonds and what are the signs, like what it is. And, so basically it's just a dysfunctional attachment between, two people. One is more of an abuser, and you're forming this bond with someone based on the need for attachment. However, the way it's forming, it's becoming like, uh, it could become dangerous. It's becoming abusive and, mental, physical, emotional. And today we're going to talk about what uh what is it? Recognizing the signs? Are we going into recognizing the signs? Or
Oh, I'm sorry. We gonna have to do the recognizing the signs like another time, because I feel like that's gonna take a lot of time. You want to make sure that y'all really understand, and we really want to go into detail on the different signs. Um, so just to follow up for today, we were just gonna talk about like how to end the trauma bond,
and
like
okay, what is signs? How to end it? There we
yeah,
go.
and basically like how to heal after. you
Right.
know, just to kind of give you some support and some things to look for, when you get ready to do it. Because you can't just end it abruptly. It's just not gonna happen realistically.
Mhm.
So we just wanted to kind of give you some tips on that, and definitely speaking from experience.
And I'm
'Cause-
like, I honestly think I think you should share your healed tale and then we can give them the tips just to put some context around it.
oh,
So,
okay. Um,
Grace, tell us your healed tale.
girl. All right. So I've mentioned several times, I definitely have been in a trauma bond. Mine was like 10 years. That's a long time, extremely long. And I think the craziest thing about it is like I didn't recognize that that's what it was when I was in it. It took me separating myself and like beginning to start the process of healing to recognize like that's what it was. Honestly, I had never even heard about it, so it definitely took some like research. Like I guess when I started my healing journey, the question was like, first of all, what was that?
Mhm.
Like, how did I end up in that? Because that's something like I never wanted, and I was working really hard to like have like this perfect family. I want all my kids to be by the same man. Like that was always a goal. So I was like very strategic, and like planning, because I like to be in control. So I'm like, yeah, like how did that happen? Like that wasn't it.
Mhm.
And yeah. So um it was definitely a lot of ups and downs. Definitely very similar to the textbook of what a trauma bond was. We started off really like best friends, which was so crazy, like how it just went like downhill at the
Mhm.
end. But like we were really close, probably too close, too similar. Um, Over time, I definitely felt like we were extremely codependent on one another.
Mhm.
I definitely didn't feel like my needs were being met, and it felt like the other person's needs were definitely at the forefront. Um, and I think for me, like I was in a space to where I wasn't comfortable with who I was and the effects that trauma had on me. So like I just pretended to be another person. But it was kind of hard to keep that up because when you go home, you can't pretend all the time. And home is like supposed to be your safe space. But yeah, that wasn't it. Not in a trauma bond. That
And
was extremely hard. What else was I gonna say about it? Um,
how did you get it to end? Like, how did you?
it started with me going to therapy, honestly, and recognizing that that's what it was.
Okay.
Um, and starting to like form like a relationship with God, like getting closer and understanding that, he gives us second chances and he's gonna give you the desires of your heart, and that's he is who I wanted and he gave him to me. So it took a while to like really um to get the sign, I guess, from him that that's what I was supposed to do. Because my mind, I'm like, oh, like no, we're supposed to fix it,
Mhm.
And then parents don't always get the great advice. Because I definitely got, oh, that's you married him. Like, girl, bye. Like, why would you ever say that to me? It's like my mom told me that she gave you bad advice. Like, no, ma'am. Mm-mm. But yeah, so I think that's kind of like what started. Um, yeah, and then God gave me the sign that I needed, and it was just like, oh, now what? Because we're very much codependent. So it's like, how am I going to survive like on my own? And we got kids now. And then I don't know, like if I leave, like what's going to happen? So it's like, okay, my safety. So like I had to really come up like with a plan, like what does life look like after, before it actually like happened.
And that's what the experts the experts say. They were like, the first thing is to make a plan about what's going to come next. Like, are you going to be safe? Where you're going to be? So you you was like, for you to be concerned about that and like thinking like how what's next, what does it look like, that's actually the first step. Like, you need to make a plan, you need to make sure you're going to be safe, um make sure you can get somewhere where you are comfortable enough not to go back.
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy to continue to repeat the cycle because it's comfortable.
Right.
You become comfortable in it.
And the unknown is scary. So it's just like you don't you but going back is just like that's not the best option. It feels safe, and then your brain is like, "Oh, I gotta be with that person." Like
mm,
it's like you're addicted to them, so you can't. It's hard to just cut it off.
it
But
is.
having a plan kind of helps.
I so the seeking therapy, you said, so really, so what I hear from your story is that it was something that you didn't like within yourself? Like you said, you didn't like the person you were becoming, and so that's what caused you to go to therapy. Is that
Yeah. So honestly, when I had my kids, because I knew I had childhood trauma outside of this trauma bond, so I'm like, I gotta figure it out. Then my kids came and I'm like, oh, and then I started studying it for grad school. So it was just like, it was kind of like everywhere. It was like, it was no way that I could not start self reflecting and becoming more self aware
right?
without it. It was just like, you don't have no other choice because it's like all around, all around you. Yeah. So it was just like, going there. And I'm like, I don't like the person that I'm becoming in this relationship, in this marriage. And I think whoever you are partnered up with, whoever you decide to marry, or if you're in a long term relationship, like that space will definitely affect how, like, the symptoms of your trauma show up. Is it like a safe space or is it not? Like, are you living in survival mode every day? Like, you always on edge, you always ready to fight? Because that was me. I was always ready to fight.
Mm.
Like, I see you and I'm just instantly triggered. Like, that's not a good space to live in. And it started to affect me. Like, that's why, like, during COVID was the worst. It was like the worst but the best because it definitely helped me realize,
It
like,
helps you realize so much, but it was like,
it was hard. Yeah. So it was like that stress, like, I could like barely walk. Like, it used to hurt like real bad. Like, it used to feel like arthritis on my hands. I could like barely close my fingers up. And it was just like, what is happening to my body? Like, I felt like my body was shutting down. And then it's around the same time, of course, my best friend passed. And
mm,
this person who I was yoked with was not there for me. And I was like, honestly, that was really before it got to the highest point of being like unsafe. It was that. It was like, my best friend died. You know how close this person is to me.
oh, yeah.
And I don't care what turns me on. We beefing or whatever the case is, like, you know how much that person meant to me, and you're not saying anything. And it's people like I knew from back then that's hitting me up, checking on me, and not even on something like I want to get with you, or I'm just no. It's like, oh, I know how close this person was to you. Like, are you doing okay? Blah blah. Blah. And I'm like, nigga, you in this house and you ain't doing that. You are not. You will not be my husband. I was dead serious. I'm like, please sign these papers. Like, I'm done. No, absolutely not. But yeah, so you definitely have little signs along the way. It just takes for you to like accept them and be ready. You got to be ready.
Yes,
And
I was about to say, I think we will continue to ignore, like we see them, we see those flags, and they be like,
I thought it was a carnival.
but we, until we're ready to accept it, we will ignore. We will ignore. We will bargain with ourselves. We will like dance around it, try to make it like, well, I think, like, I know it made me feel like this, but that's not what it really was. Like, it's okay, this, that, and the third. So far we have one, make a plan for the future and make sure you're safe, make sure you are safe. If you have children, make sure you and your children are going to be safe. Two, definitely seek professional counsel.
Mhm.
Sometimes these situations, like, you can be close with your friends, but sometimes you need an unbiased professional opinion, and
Mhm.
that's self, and you need that counsel to help bring the self-awareness to you.
Right.
um Three is positive self-care and positive coping strategies. Can you talk about that? Like, what were your positive coping strategies?
Um, of course. So around this time it was COVID. So um, I ended up crafting. That's honestly, I brought all the stuff. I was like, you know, world shut down. Everybody started businesses. I'm like, well, I want to start this. Honestly, I was in the process of like starting my business and getting the LLC already established before COVID actually like hit. So I was like, oh, okay, well, shoot, I was already doing it anyway. So, I brought my machine, started buying stuff, signed up for tutorials and started learning how to use it. And instead of like when I was triggered, instead of reacting, because sometimes people will kind of use things against you or know how you're going to react, especially if they've been with you for so long. So they will try to get that out of you. Um, so I'm like, I had to learn, like, I can't allow people to trigger me, especially when they're trying to. So, like, I'm going to just craft. I'm put my words on a shirt, which I started doing that, or just like creating things. And I mean, it really helps. I'm like, I've always been creative. So I was like, I have to kind of put this energy into something else to get my mind off of it. Um, it ain't nobody here but me and him. So it's just like, yeah. So that's pretty much what I did. And then like visiting friends, I felt like I had to go on this tour of like, hey, like people I hadn't talked to in mad long, hadn't seen, hadn't like hung out with in like years. So I'm like, I'm back. Like, how are you? Like, catch a dub. Like, I'm back outside. So
I was like, because Dream was in the house. She was in the house.
I'm like, what? I don't know nothing about what you're talking about. I'm like, I'm in the house. It was like I was locked up because I'm like, I don't know what y'all was doing outside in the world, but I am like ages behind y'all. So I mean, that's what I did. Just try to be around people like that I know cared about me.
Mm-hmm.
People that
Major,
I love.
major.
Oh,
I cared about you, okay?
yeah. I mean, it just coping is not always gonna be positive. I mean, I can't even front like everything I did was positive, but it was definitely a mix. It took some time to figure out like who was there because when we talk about support systems, it's realistic that they're going to change. So it's like a time. It's a lot of figuring out what works, what doesn't work, who's there for you, who's not. It's a lot. It's a lot going on.
That is something I can say I truly struggled with is I think, you can have like friendships for years. And when I say years, like since middle school or since high school.
Mhm.
Even I mean, at this age, we've been out of college 10, 12 years, right?
A good minute.
We have formed strong bonds with these people with different people. And so it hurts. I think this could be, well, of course, it's got to be a conversation for another day, but I do think like when you come to a place and you're going through like your healing journey, everybody will not be able to go along with you. Everybody will not be able to pour positively into you. Um, some people want to keep you where they met you at. And it's just
Mm,
like, yeah, she was drinking, she was partying all the time, doing this, that, and the third. And it's like, now that I'm self-aware and I'm trying to grow up and glow up and
mm,
heal, I'm not interested in doing those things no more. And you're gonna find that your circle is going to change, your support group is going to change, and be very vigilant about who you allow to stay around you during that healing time because it could be a hindrance or it could be a blessing.
mm-hmm.
I think we're definitely gonna have to come back on that support and
Yeah. Because I'm
that's
like, you also recognize like how you showed up in your relationships as well. That's like a huge part. When you're healing, like you have to recognize like the role that you played. So it's like, was I pouring more into this situation than what they were actually pouring into me? So it takes some time to kind of to figure out what's been happening. And you gotta think about where you want to go. And like you said, everyone can't go.
everyone can't go. And so even while you're healing and you're grieving past trauma, current like childhood trauma, past trauma as an adult, you are also grieving the loss of those relationships. So
Mm.
I, I think stay tuned because we got lots to talk about. Okay. And
What?
so what would Jesus do?
Mm,
When we're talking about trauma bonds and we're talking about ending them and getting out, I want to leave you with this verse. It's 2 Timothy 1:7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and a sound mind. And to me, that just means, um, you know, we are king's kids, we're heirs to the throne. He does not want you in a situation where you are being mentally, physically, emotionally abused.
mhm,
They give us a spirit of fear. And trauma bonds are ingraded in fear. They are, it's
mhm.
fear all through it. It's fear, fear to stay, fear to leave. You know what I'm saying? So if we know that that is something that's not of God, you need to end it and you can get out. And keep telling yourself that God has given me a spirit of power, a spirit of love, and a sound mind. You're not crazy. You're not crazy. Okay. He gonna
Maybe
send
a little bit.
but God gonna send you them signs, okay? He's going to send you the signs, and when you're ready to accept, you know that you have it within you to move forward and start your healing journey.
Right. You definitely get second chances.
Anthony,
Maybe 3 or 4. Like,
77.
and more than that. Like, it's okay, you know. So don't feel bad about it. He knew it was gonna happen. That's the thing. He's like he already knew because he created you. He knew what you was gonna do. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he knew you wanted him. That's why he gave him to you, so you could say, okay, great. I shouldn't have. I should have just waited till
Mm-hmm.
I was ready to receive what you had from me.
Yeah.
But you had to go through it so you can understand.
So impatient, and we be trying to make the decisions on our own. So then we end up where we end up, and it's just like, oh God, get me out, please.
But it is a testimony, so it's like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you for joining us. We love y'all healed bays. Make sure you follow us at Healing Uncut Podcast on all social platforms. And you can follow me personally. I am Christina Eaton, also known as Chrissy.
And I am Dream, and I am Healed Pretty on IG. So yeah, we hope you enjoyed listening to us today, and we will be back.
Bye, healed bays. Keep healing out loud.
Okay.